It is. I think it is going to go live. We're live. Live from the Casual Big Ten Studios. I'm here with Bet Big Brad and B1G Wilson. We're going to give you guys Week 11's best picks for Big Ten football this weekend. Brad, are you ready, brother?
I'm ready. I'm so ready. So I've never been. Some might say I've never been more ready.
Mm, mm.
Some might.
Wilson, how are you today, buddy?
I'm doing all right. It's Friday. Got nothing ahead for this weekend that I need to worry about, so could be worse.
Wilson, the man on the fence, has not been on the fence about his picks this year. We're going to get into that. Guy has been killing it. Probably only listen to him throughout the show. Best time of the year, though, guys, right? I kind of wanted to touch on this before we got started. Basketball starting. Football is nearing some really important games here at the end of the season. Is November better than March? Because that's really the only two that are up for debate, I think. Wilson, we'll start with you.
No, I don't think it is. Something about the conference tournaments, man, and then that leading up right to 2 weeks of just nonstop basketball. Love it. Head and shoulders above November.
Head and shoulders?
Yes.
Wow. No dandruff.
No.
No dandruff.
Because your picture, you only have your head above the fence, but you're saying head and shoulders above better
Yeah.
than November. Wow. Brad, is it head and shoulders above November?
Um. Yeah. I can see. Like personally for me, because I'm just a much bigger basketball fan, so it is. But I can see the argument that November. Like I'd be open to hearing somebody debate. You know,
I think that my only pushback would be that there's no football in March. Like we have football
right?
and
Which
basketball
is
right now. The basketball is less important, but if you toss in a Thanksgiving Day too, though, like, ugh. I know that's not sports related, but for me, it's competitive.
I mean, feast week is fun. So if you add that with like that week of
Maui.
football, I mean, you got like the Lions play on Thanksgiving. You could talk me into it.
Okay. Okay. I like November. I'm having a blast. I'm excited. All right, let's get into this a little bit here. We're going to go straight to last week's picks to get it started. Brad, last week, 8
Oh, yeah.
and 11 as you're taking a bite of food. I'll talk for a minute. That's okay. You had Nebraska minus 6.5 against UCLA. You lost that one. You had
Yeah.
Indiana minus 7.5 against Michigan State. That was a win. And then you had USC minus 1.5 against Washington. Again, 8 and 11, 2-1 on the locks. How'd you feel about last week? Did you like the football last week? It felt like a down week, kind of, right?
Well, I hated it. Yeah. It's horrible. I didn't watch that much.
Really?
I didn't watch I watched I think I only saw like two games. Bad.
Yeah.
Bad news.
Yeah. That brings your record to 106, 109, and 6 overall. Just behind me, I'm 108, 109, and 4. Last week, I went 14 and 5, which was good enough to get a win last week. I also had Nebraska minus 6.5. That was a loss. I also had Nebraska UCLA over. That was a win. And I also had USC minus 1.5. That was also a loss. A lot of alsos in there. Maybe saying that word too much, but that put me at 1 and 2 on my locks. But I still went 14 and 5, like I said. Felt pretty good about that. And that brings us to Wilson, who on the weekend was 10 and 9, it looks like. He was with us on Nebraska. He was with you on Indiana. Also had Ohio State minus 3.5. That was a win. Put him at 2-1 on his locks. And again, 10 and 9 overall, second place on the week. Wilson, how'd you feel?
Overall, not too bad with my picks, but to touch on what you mentioned previously, I did feel like it was a little disappointing week of football last week. That
Yeah.
marquee game, Ohio State, Penn State, in my opinion, didn't live up to it. I thought it was a pretty boring game. And I feel like that's leading into this week. I'm not very excited about this week either, except for one game, and it's only because it's at Indiana. I enjoy watching those fans actually enjoy football for the first time in their life. There's some true enjoyment out of that translates.
Without giving away your pick for that game, do you think it'll be a good game or do you think it's going to be a blowout?
I think it'll be a good game.
Hmm.
For the majority of it, I think it'll be a good game.
Hmm.
And I think the crowd mainly is going to be the most ruckus crowd Indiana has ever had.
For football.
Yes.
Because they get involved for basketball, that's for sure. I got basketball on the mind. I did 2 basketball podcasts last night, so I'm still thinking about all the hoops. Who'd like to go first this week with your locks?
How about though? Is this so? Because this is all starting to run together. This is the second week in a row that you've won.
Correct.
Okay, I for sure didn't pay you again, right?
No, I don't think so. Actually, I'm
I
not
did.
sure about that.
Did
Wilson
Wilson
did pay
pay
me.
you?
Yeah, he sent it. I think the next day.
Just no
Um,
fucking life, man.
That reminds me, by the way, I did not post the questionnaire on Twitter last week, so no Twitter winner last week. I will do it today, I think. I might do it while the first person's going. I'm not going first, so which one of you guys wants to? I'm going to let you fight over it.
I'll go first, but do you have the updated overalls?
So that was you're at 120, 96, and 5. It's on the screen right now for anyone that's watching on Twitter or YouTube. That puts you in first place. I'm in second. I'm at 108, 109, and 4. And Brad is at 106, 109, and 6. And that also reminds me that 3 of those wins or losses came from season win totals. Michigan confirmed under. That gave both you guys a win. USC confirmed under. I think that was supposed to be mentioned last week. Both of you guys got a win on that one as well. And then Minnesota confirmed over. We might have talked about that last week. I can't remember, but myself and Brad got a win on that. Those might be from last week. I'm not sure. No,
Yeah.
Michigan just got confirmed.
I'm cleaning up on the overalls.
You really are. Let me look at that real quick. You're 4-1 on the overalls. I'm 1-4. That's a big difference.
Jesus.
Big difference. Yeah, I haven't gotten hardly any of those right. And then Wilson is 3-2 on those overall.
Above 500 across the board, baby.
Across the board, baby. All right, Wilson, your picks are now on the screen. Tell us what you like this week and tell us why, if you don't mind.
So my first games, I believe I took Iowa -6.5, I believe it was, at UCLA. I don't have a good feel on this game because both these teams confuse the hell out of me. It makes no sense that Iowa would lose by double digits to Michigan State and then put up 40 points the following weeks and win. And then UCLA, I thought they were the worst team in the Big Ten, and haven't they won a couple games recently that looked good? It doesn't make sense to me. So it was one of those flip a coin and do it because I don't like any of the other lines.
I like that one. I'll talk about that for a second. I like that pick. I'm with you on that pick. That's one of my locks, so I actually just won't discuss that one. But that game is tonight. I'm really excited that game's tonight because I missed Friday night football last week. It was a long Friday night last week where I was like, man, just a single Big Ten game right now would get me through, and I didn't like it. But I'm with you on Iowa. I still like Iowa. I look at the Michigan State game that you were talking about more as an outlier than what they are as a team. I think that they've really found some things out offensively now that Braden Sullivan's in there. Brad, are you with me? Or not Braden, Brendan Sullivan. You with me, Brad? You like Iowa tonight?
I do. Although like Wilson was saying, it's hard to figure out UCLA.
Yeah.
And they could get hot. That's why personally I just went with the over-unders this week. I think I was going to win, but I couldn't lock it in because everybody's been screwing me over. I'm done. It was like the whole time this was like, I don't give a shit, you know? But now I'm to like, I don't give a fuck portion of this.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Watch your profanities. All right, Wilson, second lock. What you got, buddy?
Well, just real quick. So Iowa scored 40-plus points the last 2 games after losing to Michigan State.
Yeah.
What I'm reading is correct. They've scored a total of 277 total points all of last year. So it's just weird to see Iowa put up 40 points is all.
That's because Tim Lester's there now, former
Western
Michigan Bronco coach.
Yeah.
They know how to produce them out there. A lot of Western Michigan former coaches in the Big Ten, by the way.
Going to my next lock. So my next two locks are in one game. It's the Indiana-Michigan game. And I don't remember the numbers, but I went Indiana to cover the 14.5. And I also took the over on that game. I felt the over was easier because IU seems to always put up 40 points. I took Indiana and the points. I think it could end up being under that, like a 10 to 13 point game eventually. But I do think it'll be a 7-point game throughout it. I just think Indiana's home crowd gives them the best chance to cover that spread versus Michigan actually covering it, if that makes sense.
It does.
But I'm excited for this game as long as it lives up and it's not a blowout.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game. I'll talk about that when it's my turn, though, because one of my locks is involved in that as well, and I will talk about that game more. Brad, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think Indiana's the real deal, and Michigan isn't quite Michigan. So, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
It was also so obviously
14.5 is a lot.
Yeah.
obviously
That hook kind of. I don't know.
obviously I'm a Michigan State fan, and I don't know
What?
a ton about the technical aspect of football, but it was eye-opening, not just the Indiana's offense, but Michigan State was able to run the football the last 2 weeks against Iowa and Michigan, who are supposed to have two good run defenses, and we couldn't run the ball against Indiana. Kind of goes against the narrative that Indiana is like a high-powered offense only. It seems like they're well-rounded overall. So I'm a believer now.
I have been for a while. I think Indiana is the best team in the conference. So I've been on them for a minute now. All right, what's your last lock? That was both of them. That's right. I'm sorry. I forgot you had both of those. All right, Brad, I'm going to send it over to yours real quick. Tell us what you like this Saturday, tomorrow, or partially this Friday maybe.
Really didn't like anything. Been getting really screwed over with the spreads. I don't have a feel for it right now. I can't get with some of these teams. They're just back and forth every week. So I went with all over-unders, and I went all overs just for fun.
Why not?
Just to see what happened, I feel pretty confident about the over in the Michigan-Indiana game. Indiana scored over 40 points by themselves in every game, I think, this year. Right?
I don't know if they did in the
right.
Northwestern game. Let me double-check that, but keep talking.
We're going to seem like that sounds right. And it was like 46 or something, right? I don't even know what it was. I just took the over.
Oh, they did score 41 against Northwestern.
It was Washington, they scored 31, and then FIU, they scored 31. Everything else was above 40.
All right. Well, Michigan's going to score some points as well, so
maybe.
I'm ready for it. I think Indiana wins that game. The only thing I can see happening is Michigan does have a good defensive line. If they can disrupt the rhythm and get into the backfield and mess with Rourke. Rourke is solid, but he's not – I don't think he's like a –
I don't know because he played your team last week. He looked bad against you guys at the beginning, but then I didn't see how they –
That's what I'm saying, though. We got zero. He was standing back there and having lunch. And then, throwing the ball just for fun 30 seconds later. We got no pressure on him.
Okay.
So if Michigan can disrupt him a little bit, I think it can throw off his accuracy and throw off their rhythm. But I haven't seen anyone be able to stop them from scoring points, and I don't think Michigan's secondary, if they don't get to them, is going to be able to hold them up either. So I like the over in that game.
Okay.
Ohio State is playing Purdue.
So the problem I have with that one is that you're hoping Ohio State scores 54 points, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. I actually don't like it, but go ahead.
You're taking Ohio State minus 38.5?
Well, no, I took Purdue, actually.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you do think Purdue's going to score a couple points then?
Wait,
you have to.
What is the over? 50?
53.5.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 45-10.
Okay. That works. Yeah. I don't know if
My
Purdue
prediction.
can score on them.
Lock it in.
Okay.
No, let's lock it in.
All right, it's locked. It's locked. I got it. It's locked in.
And then my third one, like I said before, I can't figure out Iowa or UCLA, but they both seem to be scoring points as of late. So let's keep that rolling. I'm going to go with the over in that game as well.
All right.
Right?
I like that. I like the Iowa one for sure because I think Iowa's going to score a lot, and UCLA's been pretty hot offensively as well. And that's a pretty low number. I feel like they're still setting these lines for Iowa based on last season. It's like, have you guys been watching them lately? They're actually scoring some points now. And side note, and I have to campaign for this anywhere that I can because I have a future on Caleb Johnson's Heisman chances. Why is he not in the conversation?
I'm not sure.
He should be. He should be. He really should be. Iowa fans will really get behind me on that one. All right. Good picks, Brad, even though I have basically the opposite of those. So let's talk about that for a second. I'll start with the Iowa game. I think that we're all on board with this one. It's Iowa minus 6.5 tonight. I think you guys both picked that. We've talked about that game plenty now, and I think that they're going to win that game by more than 7. I went with the Purdue-Ohio State under because I think that Purdue is going to score 0 points, and I just don't know if Ohio State is going to want to score 54. So, yeah, I'm actually taking Purdue just like you said, Brad. But the reason I'm doing it is because I think it's going to be like 31-0 or something like that, or 28-0, or if Purdue happens to get one in the end zone, then I think it's going to be a 4-touchdown game, but it's not going to go over 54. So, Brad, I know what you think about that. Am I crazy, Wilson? You still with us?
Willie.
What?
What'd you say? I didn't hear it. Sorry, I was getting a text from work.
Oh, that's all good. I said, am I crazy for taking the under in that game?
No. Ohio State tends to come out lackluster, so I can see it being like, 10-0 into the second quarter and then finally waking up and just not having enough time to put the points over for the over. But I don't remember if I took the over or under. I know I took Purdue plus 38.5, though.
You took the over.
Well, I hope you're wrong.
Dang.
45-10, baby.
I'm glad that I have a lot
down.
of different picks than you guys because I'm trying to make up some ground here from a really bad start to the year. All right, my final lock is definitely going to be the most controversial one. I'm taking Michigan plus 14.5 against Indiana. Not only do I think that this is going to be a good game, I think that Michigan is going to beat Indiana this weekend.
Wild. I was with you on the 14.5. I don't think that's that crazy to take the points. Win the game outright. State your reasoning, sir.
What are your credentials to make this outlandish claim?
Well, first of all,
This is why we can't get media passes anywhere.
This is why right here. Give me credentials, please. All right, if I get this right, I should get credentials to the Big Ten championship game, right?
Yes.
You should.
Okay. Here's my reasoning. Number one, I think that usually when you're switching quarterbacks in and out mid-series, that's not working. I actually thought that it was working for Michigan last week against Oregon. I thought that they were moving the ball really well. They did everything right except for finish drives. That's all they had to do. So Oregon's a better defense, I think. I'm not positive about that, but I think that they are. I know they're good. I know they're both good. But if Michigan can finish drives off against Indiana, I think that it's going to put them in a bad spot. And if they get to a second half where they're down or it's a close game, they've never been in one yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how they react. Secondly, their next game is against Ohio State. That's the only game that anyone's talking about with Indiana. This game has been completely overlooked by everybody that I've heard talk about Indiana football for the last week, and I think that there's a possibility. Now, I'm not saying Coach Signetti's not going to have his guys ready, but I think if I'm a player on this team, I'm even looking forward to the Ohio State game over this Michigan game, and it could be a little bit of a trap. So I'll put that in as a factor as well. I also think that this Michigan defense is the best defense that they've played this year, bar zero. So it's going to be interesting, like Brad said, to see how well they're actually going to move the ball against a defense that's semi-formidable in the Big Ten, because they haven't seen one yet. Those are my reasonings.
To comment on your first one, I don't disagree with your method or your logic, because I do think there's a difference between what Michigan's doing versus that standard narrative of if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have any.
Yeah,
I feel like that's true if they're the same style of quarterback, but it seems like Michigan's doing like a Chris Leak, Tim Tebow type
right.
method, which works out, and it does seem to have worked last week, so I don't have an issue there. But it might be true that the yokels on social media are overlooking Michigan, but I guarantee Signetti is not, and reminding them that they have not beat Michigan since like 2000, and it's a home game. So I don't think
I don't think they've
Indiana's
ever-
going to overlook Michigan.
Yeah, I don't think that the team is necessarily, but it just feels like the vibes that I hear from everybody else. It's like no one's talking about this game at all. They're just going like, all right, Indiana's got one more game on their schedule, and it's Ohio State. It's like, well, wait a minute here. Like, Michigan was right in that game with Oregon last week up until the very end, where they put in that last touchdown to make it an Oregon cover. But they had every opportunity. Like I said, they just could not finish drives.
Until
So we'll
Samaj
see.
Moore threw a reverse pass.
Yeah,
into the
and
stands.
I'd like to think that, you know, as someone that's picking Michigan in this game, I'd like to think that those type of play calls are going to stop this week. But we'll see. we will
Your
see.
No, Michigan's not
Brad,
bad.
any final
So
thoughts on that? Sorry, Wilson, what'd you say?
I was just going to say, Michigan's not bad, so I don't expect them to get blown out or anything.
Yeah. We'll see, though. I mean, it also wouldn't shock me because Indiana's done it to everybody. So, like, I've been way off on picks like this before. So, if it happens, like, and somebody clips this for whatever reason and says, like, you're an idiot, you picked Michigan, it's like, well, yeah, whatever.
Is Will Johnson playing, or their Michigan's cornerbacks playing?
I
They had
don't
two out last week.
I don't know if he is or not. I have no idea. I haven't heard about that.
I think that'll make a big difference this game.
I don't think he wants to anymore. I think he's getting ready for the draft. So should be a fun weekend of games, though. Brad, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
The only thing I was going to say on the Michigan-Indiana game with the overlooking is Indiana can't afford to lose to Michigan and then have everything be riding on trying to beat Ohio State at Ohio State. Like, they know if they lose that game, they still have a chance to get the playoff. If they lose to Michigan and Ohio State, then they're out. So that's not like that should be the focus for them, is if they beat Michigan, then they don't absolutely have to beat Ohio State.
Right.
So
we'll see.
Gotta play the game. Yeah. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. Got to play the game. And if I get this right, like I said, if Michigan pulls the upset, I'll be looking for that email from Tony Petitti directly handing me my credentials for the Big Ten championship game in December. And I'm looking forward to that, honestly. That's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it sounds fun for you.
Dude, if I don't get basketball credentials this year for the tournament, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. I might not go. I'm just kidding. I'm still going to go. Lions at Houston this weekend. We didn't talk about the Lions. I don't know what time you got to go, Brad, but that's a dub. Jared Goff, MVP, still active.
I hope it's a dub.
That's my final thoughts for today, by the way. So if you guys have anything else, let me know.
You're that confident? You were nervous going into the Tennessee Titans game. And you're this confident going into Houston?
I was nervous about that. And then I watched Houston lose to the New York Football Jets last week.
Gross.
I'm not nervous about anybody in the NFL anymore. My confidence level is at a 10+ for the Detroit Lions to win the Super Bowl. Even the Ravens, I'm not nervous about anymore after last night. Like, you can't.
They came back and won.
What's that?
They came back and won though.
Barely.
I don't know, man. The only thing that scares me about the Ravens is the last time that we played them
Not nervous.
Yeah, I'm worried about the Eagles, to be honest.
wasn't good.
You're worried about the Eagles? What's his name that we just signed? Quid Smith?
Darius.
Smith.
Zadarius? Ever heard of him? I haven't because I didn't know his name. Oh, dude, I have a. I was telling you guys about that AI stuff earlier, like the Grok thing. It's called Grok. It's like GROK on Twitter if you have the premium. I have a awesome thing for the Lions this weekend. I just don't know where to share it at because I can't put it on the Big Ten thing. I feel like everyone's gonna be like, "Why are you posting Lions stuff on here?" So it might just be a text to you guys, but it's awesome though.
Send it to me. I'll share it.
Okay,
I've got 2 followers.
you got more than that now. All right. Enjoy the games this weekend. I'll be tweeting live tonight about the UCLA Iowa game. Big announcement coming on Twitter Monday morning. Stay tuned to that. Stay tuned for the second edition of the Chris Collins hype video tomorrow morning. Northwestern is playing again, so you will get more of that. Always a fun time on Twitter. Always a fun time. We'll see you guys next week. Brad, anything? Wilson, anything? We good, guys? All right. We'll see everybody next week.